Welcome back to our deep dive into the Black Ops 3 Zombies Fractures series, where we are unraveling the Ether Stories timelines and fractures with elite developer documents. And if you would like to see all of the prior parts, there will be a playlist linked below and on screen. We've reached the finale, Revelations, the climactic map of the DLC season, DLC 4. Set in the Genesis universe, it stands apart from the fractured timelines, making it a unique chapter, Agatha. Unlike Deceptio, Predition, and Agonia, which pushed Ludwig Maxis' multiversal escape and the destruction of the multiverse, Revelations weaves the Ether Saga's threads into a grand culmination of Primus' journey in a universe untouched by Element 115. Using the leaked DLC 4 kickoff PowerPoint, we'll explore what sets the Genesis universe apart, its concrete setting in Sheffield, England, 1945, on a real Earth, and Treyarch's original vision for this epic conclusion, because it's quite different from what the map ended up being concluded as. So let's set the stage with what fractures are and recap the earlier ones so we can move forward into the finale. Fractures in Black Ops 3 are timelines born when Primus kills the 1.0 versions of Richthofen, Dempsey, Takeo, and Nikolai at precise moments in space and time. These acts collect souls in the Summoning Key, also erasing these characters from multiple timelines at once, shattering history and rewriting the past and future. Each fracture carries a unique name and reshapes the world, often amplifying Element 115's presence, fueling chaos and apothecant influence of the multiverse. The Deceptio fracture kicked off on October 13th, 1945 at the Giant, when Primus Richthofen killed Ultimus Richthofen 1.0. This unleashed a flood of Element 115, freezing time and supercharging Group 935's technology with giant robots and preventing disasters at Nakda Untoen, Verrucht, and Shino Numa, as seen in the alternative Kino loading screen. Maxis, without having to worry about Richthofen's betrayal, led a unified Group 935, arming Germany with advanced weaponry, turning them into a war juggernaut. By November 5th, at the Eisendrache, Maxis controlled the moon base and MPD excavations. Primus destroyed Griffin Station, recovered 1.0 Dempsey, and secures his soul, fracturing time from Deceptio into Predition. The Predition fracture, set in October 1945 on Zetsubo Noshima, centered on Pompeii's island base, overrun with Element 115 meteors during Division 9 and Group 935. Shino Numa fell as resources shifted, and the Skull of Nan Sapua emerged to fight apothecants. Without Richthofen or Dempsey, 935's test subject division collapsed, leaving Takeo 1.0 in Japan. Branded a traitor by the Emperor for his samurai honor standing against the Emperor's work with 935, Takeo was sent to Pompeii, where his act of seppuku secured his soul, fracturing time once more into Agonia. The Agonia fracture, spanning 1943 to 1945 in Gorod Krovi, depicted a Stalingrad where World War II never ended. Reznov, driven by vengeance, stole Group 935 schematics, enabling Soviet technology like the Raygun Mark III and Gigant robots and much more. Ludwig Maxis, at Kino de Toten, turned Sophia into a robot after being bitten by a zombie, sending the machine to Stalingrad. The fractures, Element 115 surge and moon destruction from the Eisendrache unleashed chaos worldwide, with dragons and undead dominating the now desolate Stalingrad. Primus Richthofen killed Nikolai 1.0, securing his soul, setting the stage for Revelations. Notably, Agonia's Maxis, free from Richthofen's interference, likely left this timeline and built a zero base in the empty Earth to safeguard artifacts like the Chronorium, possibly surviving even into Black Ops 4, as we've theorized in past videos about his multiversal role. Revelations unfolds in 1945 in the Genesis universe, a reality distinct from the fractures. The DLC 4 kickoff PowerPoint confirms its setting, Sheffield, England, 1945, on a real Earth, not an Agathian physical dimension or Monty's creation, as fans speculated and the map seemed to imply. This is Agatha, the Ether. This is it. the infinite. The original plan was very different. This concrete place and time, the original plan as outlined in the documents, a tangible timeline grounded in our world, is a game changer, rooting the map's events in a specific historical context. The PowerPoint calls the Genesis universe the original reality, free of Apothecan influence and Element 115 until Maxis's catastrophic mistake. Labeled as the genesis of it all in the documents, it may connect to Dr. Monty's origins, as we've talked about, possibly being as John D. This timeline may be the one that D is actually from, explaining why it never sees the undead except for a couple specific events related to all of reality being touched by events with the ether. We get some hints to this idea, as it's an entire timeline on its own in the chronorium, and there are hints in some of Monty's dialogue in-game. For instance, he says here, in this or any other dimension.
In retrospect, it probably wasn't the best idea to leave the most powerful artifact in this or any other dimension just lying on the fucking table. But in all fairness, Maxis was a bit of a wild card. I mean, you remember he was actually just a little drone the last time you saw him. Anyway, he's in the summoning key now. Buggered if I know how we're going to get him out.
Yet again in this passage he goes on to very clearly call this the Ether/Agatha in another radio.
Something else I should probably clarify. This is it. The Ether. The Infinite. Otherwise known as Agatha. Or is it Agatha? Well, whatever way you slice it or spell it, it's the reality beyond. Beyond the world you know, beyond your perception. Just so we're clear, I'm absolutely not talking about death. That's a whole other can of worms. Speaking of which, you know how people say when you cut a worm in half, both parts keep on living? Well, they do. Kind of, for a bit. But then one of them dies, not sure if it's the arse or the head. Well, that's the problem with worms. They're a bit short on distinguishing features. What was the point I was making?
Is it that this Genesis timeline exists inside of the Ether/Agatha, as it of course is a physical manifestation of the Ether, or was this concept changed close to release? Frankly, I'm not exactly sure, but I think the 1945 Sheffield concept makes more sense. So if both have to be true, I'm inclined to think this Genesis timeline simply is inside Agatha as some method of separating it from the multiverse. Primus, believing they've purged the zombies from the multiverse, arrive at a farmhouse basement in Sheffield, England, 1945, to meet Ludwig Maxis and Samantha. After collecting the 1.0 souls across Deceptio, Predition, and Agonia, Richtofen destroys the teleporter, and the group steps outside to a golden sunset over the English countryside, a world untouched by zombies. The PowerPoint highlights this serene Sheffield moment, with Primus meeting their younger immortal selves, hinting at a hopeful future for the children in this pure, real Earth timeline. We now know as well that had things stayed this calm, there would have been an entire world around them to explore. However, this peace shatters fast. That night, Maxis, lured by whispers from the summoning key, tampers with it and releases the Shadow Man, breaking the Genesis universe's immunity to 115. A massive blue Apothecan sun erupts from the Earth's core, fragmenting the planet into floating islands. Structures from past maps such as Nagda Unto and Vrux, Shinonuma, Mob of the Dead, Eisendrak, and Shadows of Evil materialized, fused in surreal ways, like the Ruby Rabbit from Shadows of Evil in Shinonuma's swamp. The PowerPoint describes this as an amalgamation of prior maps, reconfiguring mechanics and locations for a climactic finale, akin to the campaign's Zurich map, all rooted in Sheffield's transformed landscape. Which not only is it similar to the campaign, but also the multiplayer map Infection that has these broken up floating islands and distorted realities, with literally seeing a landscape 90 degrees to the Earth, and it even features an island floating with a house very similar to Monty's house in Revelations. The Apothecans, controllers of Element 115, have seeded multiverses for eons to enslave lifeforms. In Sheffield 1945, the Genesis universe was their impenetrable barrier, untouched by 115, possibly due to an unknown force, perhaps Monty as John Dee. The PowerPoint draws a parallel to The Coming Race, where in this book, the Vril, a subterranean power, shaped existence. In Black Ops 3, the Keepers and Apothecans replaced the Vril's role to sidestep its controversial connotations, and of course we know that the Keepers were inspired by this original concept, but the blue Apothecan sun emerging from Sheffield's core mirrors the black sun in the hollow earth from these depictions, seeding reality with Element 115. Primus's actions in Origins opened a gateway to this universe, and their soul-collecting collapsed Element 115 infected timelines, leaving the Genesis universe as the last refuge. Maxis' error allows the Apothecans to invade, with giant gods orbiting the 115 sun, harvesting it with tentacles and hurting it through portals to infect other dimensions, which ends up materializing on the map with the Apothecan Elder Gods we see, and the main one that of course has the Pack-a-Punch within. The PowerPoint depicts Sheffield in 1945 as a shattered Earth, reduced to asteroids around the 115 sun, with death and carnage as past timelines bleed into this real-world setting. Corpses from prior maps litter the landscape, and Apothecans dominate the skyline. Primus sends the children to the farmhouse basement for safety and prepares to battle the Shadowman and the 115 source. The map's design, with islands themed after past locations, reflects this collapse of time and space, creating a windy, chaotic playspace in Sheffield, dubbed the moment of creation in 1945. This moment underscores the Genesis universe as the origin of the Ether story's rules. Keepers, Apothecans, 115, grounded in a real Earth timeline. The invasion makes revelations about the Apothecans' endgame to corrupt the last untouchable reality, unfolding in a concrete, historical setting. The PowerPoint suggests rushed development, with cut content like deeper Shadowman interactions in the Dark Dimension, which is something we've discussed in a prior video you can find linked on screen or in the description. It all even culminated with a planned second boss fight with a giant Shadowman, and even a super Easter egg. The Shadowman, per our prior impossible Easter egg research, was likely a human from a conquered dimension, likely John Dee's best friend and once apprentice, Edward Kelly, as theorized, becoming an Apothecan god. The documents confirm he was taken from another dimension and from another race separate to the Apothecans that then enslaved him. His release from the summoning key in Sheffield summons the Apothecan gods, triggering the universe's collapse. Maxis' role is tragic. Unlike Agonia, where he thrived, here, his curiosity in Sheffield leads to ruin. The PowerPoint notes he's taken by the Shadowman, where his soul is inside of the summoning key, in spite of the fact, in the line right before this, Monty says he has no soul, but his body seems to go inside and possesses some kind of autonomy beyond flesh. He is likely corrupted and unable to leave the key, leaving Primus to fight. This contrasts with Agonia's Maxis, who may have escaped to the empty Earth to build Zero Base, as we explored in our Zero Base Maxis video. In Revelations, Maxis' fate in Sheffield is ambiguous, suggesting manipulation by the Apothecans or Monty's plan. Monty's origins remain unclear, but the Genesis universe's label as the genesis of it all in the documents in Sheffield suggests it's where he, as John Dee, began. Our prior videos tied Monty's keeper form to Dee, and the universe's 115 immunity may stem from his influence on his own timeline before the Apothecans' invasion. The parallel from The Coming Race, with the blue Apothecan sun as the stand-in for the black sun, reinforces this cosmic struggle, but they couldn't use the black sun anymore due to that, of course, connotation with the Nazis. With Monty's keepers opposing the Apothecans' chaos in this real-world setting in a similar way to the war between the Vril and the Lemurians. But I won't get too deep into the plot of the book, because otherwise this video is going to end up being 2 hours long. The map's design carries narrative weight. Floating islands, themed after past maps create a fragmented, surreal Sheffield where time and space collide and give these locations a certain amount of cosmic importance. Now, every place our characters will go has existed since the beginning of time and will exist at the end just by existing here at this point where both collide. The revelations of it all. The 115 sun looming over Sheffield is the Apothecan's weapon, spreading infection across dimensions as they open gateways, seeding the universes with 115, making Revelations a fight for reality on a tangible Earth. By 1945, Primus' soul collecting collapsed other timelines, funneling their remnants into the Genesis universe in Sheffield. The PowerPoints note that all prior locations and mechanics were fair game, shows Treyarch's aim to make Revelations a tribute to the Ether story, paying homage to its greats, tying together every map from Nakda Untoen to Grod Crovy in this real-world setting. The Apothecan's victory, seeding 115 across realities, perpetuates the cycle, because this is also the point it starts. The Genesis universe, meant as a sanctuary in Sheffield, becomes their hub to seed the rest of reality before they are banished, leaving this universe as safe, but every other infected with 115 and setting all of this up to happen again. The Apothecan's endgame is clear. Their 115 sun drives domination of realities, with their PowerPoints imagery of gods hurtling 115 through portals explaining its ubiquity across all timelines, and as we see in the intro cutscene for the map, but it seems there was even going to potentially be this shown on a bigger scale, and I think that's meant to be implied by the intro cutscene. We just see one instance of this. The portals are of course opening up to the entire multiverse. The Genesis universe's fall in Sheffield lets the Apothecans succeed temporarily, with Primus' final battle aiming to stop this cosmic infection, though the cycle's persistence suggests partial failure. Primus will fail. Revelations Sheffield, England's 1945 setting, ties it to the fractures but marks it as metaphysically significant. The moment of creation is the time it's marked down as taking place in 1945. This implies it's where the Ether story's multiverse itself is born. Sparse details on the universe's creation leaves gaps, but the tragedy is clear. The heart of the multiverse falls in Sheffield. This concludes our Black Ops 3 Zombies Fracture series, with Revelations as the climactic outlier. Rooted in Sheffield, England 1945 on a real Earth per the leaked documents, the Genesis universe is the original reality, undone by Maxis' error and the Apothecan's ambition. Deceptio, Predition, and Agonia reshaped history, but Revelations ends it, leaving questions about Maxis, Monty, and the multiverse's fate. But share your thoughts on this finale and let me know if you want deeper dives into Black Ops 4's broken cycle maps and beyond, because it's a topic that we know the least about because we've never been given an official timeline before. Likewise, we've never been given an official timeline on the very first cycle, and I posted recently a massive over 1 hour long video breaking down Zombies' biggest mystery, so I would highly urge you to check that out if you are interested in more. But let me know in the comments down below, do you think this idea of the Genesis universe is what the launch version of Revelations is supposed to represent, or do you think plans pivoted to it just ending up as Agatha, or do you think they could potentially even be one and the same? Because we know, per the timeline, that Agatha was created first, seemingly before other timelines, as it exists outside of time. It's the manifestation of essentially the universe itself. So it very much could be possible that this is the original universe, and potentially humans carried out life here, such as John D, and eventually it started fracturing when 115 infected the universe and Group 935 began experimenting with time travel, which broke the universe apart, creating things like Dimension 63, and eventually the fractures we also see in Black Ops 3 Zombies' DLC maps and the Giants. It's interesting because I personally think both could and possibly are true, because why would Agatha, that's meant to be this heavenly reality, be taking place in a place in Britain? It just doesn't make much sense. Why is Monty British? This is something I've been exploring in these John D Impossible Easter egg videos. I think there is a bigger picture here, and it very much could be that normal life did play out in Agatha. The Keepers could have been overseeing this reality. For example, why were the children doing theatre depictions in Kino de Toten of the Great War? Seemingly, that would imply life was kind of playing out in a semi-normal way. And also, for Monty to refer to it as a perfect world, well, can it really be perfect if all that resides here are Keepers, with Apothecans breaking in every now and again and corrupting the realm, as well as Monty and the children? That doesn't seem like a perfect world at all. It seems incredibly lonely. Monty and the children were incredibly lonely. Maybe there are other people, other animals portals, other entities that exist in this realm that we have never been privy to and are out of sight. There could be a whole timeline in Agartha that we are just completely unaware of, even long before all of the entries within the official timeline. I personally think there's a lot more to this story than meets the eye, and maybe some of the revelations, unsolved ciphers, since there's literally 10, could be the key to explaining a lot of the mysteries regarding Agartha, maybe even tying into this potential cut, or maybe even still canon concept of the Genesis universe. Could the Genesis universe even be a pocket dimension inside of Agartha itself? It's definitely possible, especially with maps like Tagdatoan implying there are a pocket dimension inside of Mars's moon Phobos, which leads to the end of the storyline. But anyways, I'm rambling now. Let me know all of your thoughts. Check out the full playlist down below. Like I said, thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not for the latest and greatest Call of Duty news and information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye. To conclude this video, I want to shout out the fact that I finally decided to make a Patreon and Cameo account, both of which will be linked below if you want to help support the channel. On Patreon, you can sign up for the lowest tier of just $1.50 a month to get exclusive access for my Discord, where we can discuss zombies lore, trivia, or whatever you desire. A place where you lot, my community, can better connect. Your names will also appear at the end of videos thanking you. For $5.50 a month, you get all of that, and I will be doing exclusive monthly Q&As. And for $16.50 a month, you again get all of that, and I will be doing exclusive lore videos, such as unpacking niche parts of the Treyarch documents I've been breaking down on my channel that don't as much suit a main channel video. For the highest tier, only for those with the ability to and who really want to help out the channel, you get special bonuses I've yet to determine and verbal shoutouts at the end of every video. Over on Cameo, I can do funny videos reading lines from zombies, memes like how do we tell him, birthday wishes for friends or family, or whatever else you desire, practically anything. Of course, none of this is necessary, just watching and enjoying the videos helps me immensely and I greatly appreciate it. However, I think it's about time I start setting up additional revenue streams because Zombies' popularity is tumultuous and always goes through ups and downs. As I'm sure you've lately seen on the channel, viewership is down a lot, we go through big highs when new games release, but then during these drought periods, I need more income stability so I don't have to worry as much about it and I can focus more on improving the quality of the content. My highest quality videos are not always the ones that best please YouTube algorithms, so instead, this way I can produce my best work knowing I don't have to think as much about how well the content's going to perform. So if you'd like to support me on Patreon for exclusive content or would like a simple Cameo message, you can do so to further support me via the links below, but only if you can afford it and you actually want to help me. Don't feel like you are forced to, don't worry, I'll survive. It would just help relieve some of the pressure during inconsistent periods on the channel, so I don't have to solely rely on AdSense revenue and still maintain the sheer quantity and quality of content that I put out. Obviously, I pump out literally a boatload of content, and some of these are absolutely crazy projects over hour-long videos, so it's a lot on my plate, especially when these videos don't perform particularly well. And I've not been doing many sponsorships lately to help supplement revenue either, so it would greatly help. Thank you for any generous person once again who does kindly support the channel. It means the absolute world and will really help keep this boat afloat.